Hold up, ever made an outfit that you just don't like how a part of the outfit turned out to be, that you had to lose it and change it all over again? Well, that happened on this particular dress, and here is the story. Hello, amazing soul buddies. You're welcome back again to this YouTube channel. It's with me, Iwa here. And if this is your first time here, you're highly, highly welcome. Please do well to hit on that subscribe button and don't forget to click on the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I drop a new video. Now, before I continue with the story, we're going to be making this beautiful dress that is currently trendy. Yes, and the reason why I also get to love this dress is because there's something you can wear if you have big tummy or fupa, and it gives a very elegant and stylish look once properly styled. So let's dive right into the making of this video while I tell you the little story that occurred while making this beautiful dress. And if this is something you're interested in learning how to make, then do well and keep watching and do not touch the dial. I was quite indecisive on which of the fabric to use, but I later went for the blue one. For making of this dress, you will need a crepe material, be it flowered crepe or plain crepe material. And I did use 3.5 yards for this dress, but you can actually use 3 yards, but I just choose 3.5 yards to be on the safe side. Now, I choose to drop this directly on the pattern paper before I transfer it to the fabric, but if you wish, you can go ahead and drop this on your fabric and cut out. And for the pattern paper, if you don't have one, you can go ahead and get a large piece of newspaper and make use of it, or any large piece of paper and make use of it. I'll also be making use of a pen, the rule and scissors, and also the tape roll. Now in drafting, the very first step is to go ahead and divide my shoulder measurement by 2 and mark it out. My shoulder measurement is 16 inches, divided by 2 gives me 8, and that is what I've marked out here. Next step is to mark out the neck width, and I'll be marking out 3 inches here for the neck width. After doing this, the next step is to go ahead and mark out how long I want the sleeve to be. So for the sleeve length, I want it to be 13 inches long. And from the shoulder measurement, I'll mark out the 13 inches. After doing this, on that 13 inches, I'll come down by 1 inch. And I'll connect this 1 inch to the neck width to get that shoulder slant or slope, so that the sleeve will be relaxed around the shoulder you get. So I'll go ahead and use my rule to do this to get a slanted line like so. And from the slanted line, I'll mark out how wide I want the sleeve to be. Now to get how wide your sleeve should be, go ahead and measure round your armhole and divide it by 2, and whatever you get, you add 1 inches. So round my armhole is 18 inches, divided by 2 gives me 9, and plus 1 inch gives me 10 inches. So from the slanted line, I mark out 10 inches. Next step, I'll go ahead and measure what I have from the center front to the sleevelet. And here I have 21 inches, and that is what I'll mark out on this 10 inches mark. This is to ensure that I have a straight line while connecting the sleeve wideness to the slanted line. I hope you understand. So this is what I have, a straight line. Now after doing this, the next step is to go ahead and mark out my underbust line. So from my shoulder to my underbust line is 15 inches, and that is what I'm marking out here, 15 inches. And after marking this out, the next step will be to bring out my rule and connect the dots together to get a straight line like this. And I'll also make sure I take note of the 21 inches mark from the center front to the sleeve length, and make sure that this line is also 21 inches long. Now that I have this, the next step is to mark out my front waist length. So take note that there is no dart in this outfit, so there's no need for back waistline and front waistline. Rather, I'll be using the front waistline as my general waistline for both the front and the back. So my front waist length is 17.5 inches, and that is what I'm marking out, 17.5 inches. And after marking this out, I'll go ahead and bring in my rule to connect the dots together to get a straight line like this. And this line is referred to as my waist line. Next step is to determine how long you want this part of this dress to be. So for me, I came down by 5.5 inches from the waistline, which I later readjusted to 5 inches. Now take note that there are different lengths to this particular part of the dress. It can be shorter, it can be longer, and it can also have any type of hemline. So go ahead and decide how long you want this part of this dress to be and mark it out. So after doing mine, I went ahead to connect the dots together to get a straight line, and this line I'll refer to it as the upper or blouse length.
Now that I have this, the next step, on the underbust line from the side, I will come in by 3.5 inches.
Once this is done, I will go ahead and connect the sleeve wideness to the 3.5 inches to give me that side armhole curve. The next step is to go ahead and mark out my round under bust measurement divided by 4. So my round under bust measurement is 32 divided by 4 gives me 8 inches, and that is what I marked out from the center front. Moving on the waistline, I'll go ahead and divide my round waist measurement by 4. My round waist measurement is 33 divided by 4 gives me 8.25, and that is what I've marked out on the waistline. Now on the upper or blouse length, I will go ahead and divide my round hip measurement by 4 and mark it out, or you can measure round where this part of the dress stop and you divide it by 4 and mark it out. Now I'll go ahead and connect these 3 points together like this. Now take note that this part that was drafted like a boo-boo is the A part, and this other part is the B part, and the C part will be the last part, which is the gathers. Next is to go ahead and decide what M line you want for this top. Now there is the basque waistline and even the curved waistline. You can also decide to just leave it straight. Now for me, initially I went up by half an inch on the side, but I later decided to just go up by 2 inches, which I connected back to the M line to give me a nice curve. So I'll get to show you where I readjusted this shown in this video. Now this is where that little story comes in. Initially on the back neckline, I wanted the zip to extend upward to the A part. So I went ahead and decided how deep I want the back neckline to be. And I connected from the neck width to the neck depth for the back neckline. Now this didn't get to work out because the zip was not relaxing after I was done sewing this dress. So I had to lose this part of the dress again and readjust it. So I'll be showing you everything, the readjustment and all of that. So this back neckline did not work for it at all. I will get to tell you the necklines that get to work for it. So for the front neckline, I'll just go ahead and connect from the neck width straight to the under bust line like this to give me a V kind of neckline or a slanted line. So once this is done, I'll go ahead and bring in my scissors and cut this pattern out. So I'll first of all get to cut out the B part, and I will label the center front and the side respectively. Now initially I intended to use this pattern paper for cutting out both the front and the back pattern, but that didn't get to work out because the back neckline was totally different after readjustment, and also I had to draft out another back pattern to get the back neckline that I wanted to work with. So this is me cutting out the front neckline, and for this B part allowance for cutting out the front fabric, I'll go ahead and leave half an inch on the underbust line, 1 inch for the side seam, and half an inch at the M line for joining the gathers, and the center front will be on fold. Now this was when the readjustment for the length of this part of the dress was made. So like I stated, I came down by 5 inches from the waistline, yes, to get the M line, and then on the side I went up by 2 inches. So initially I've gone up by half an inch, so I went up again by 1.5 inch, so in total making it 2 inches that I went up with on the side. And I went ahead to connect the 2 inches to the 5 inch, which is the M line, and I got this nice curve and I went ahead to cut it out. This is how long I want this part of this dress to be. I don't want it to be too long, you get, and this is the type of M line that I want for this part of this dress. Now you can decide to have the basque M line, you can decide to have the slanted asymmetric M line. Whatever M line and length you wish to have, go ahead and do it. There is no rule to this. So this front pattern paper, I'll go ahead and use it to cut out the front. And for the allowances for the A part, I'll be leaving 1 inch for turning the M of the neckline, 1 inch on the shoulder, 1 inch at the sleeve, 1 inch at the side, and half an inch here for joining the A to the B part. So I'll go ahead and cut out the fabric for the front pattern, leaving the necessary sewing allowance. So this is the front fabric. I have cut it out using the front pattern, and this is what I have. So you can see the center front is on fold, meaning there is no opening on the center front, and you can see the allowances left, half an inch here, 1 inch here, 1 inch on the shoulder, and 1 inch for turning the hem of the neckline here. My next focus will be to turn the hems of the neckline and of the sleeve. So I'll go ahead and take out the pattern paper for the A part. And take note, when cutting out the fabric, it should always be on fold. So this is what I have after opening this. So I'll get to overlap the center front like this, and this will give me the V neckline. Now, in turning the hem of the neckline, all I have to do is to go ahead and fold in half an inch on the wrong side of the fabric, and I'll fold it again twice, and I'll run a straight stitch on the edge, and I'll go ahead and repeat the same thing on the sleeve as well. On the sleeve hem, I'll fold in half an inch and fold it again and run a straight stitch on the edge, and I'll go ahead and iron this out. So I'll repeat the same thing on both sides of the front pattern, and I'll make sure to iron these fabrics out. Now, moving on to the back pattern, like I stated earlier on, I had to draft out another pattern which is also similar to the front pattern. The only difference is just the neckline. Now, there are different types of back neckline for this dress, and I've seen two so far. Now, for the first one, if you want this particular type of neckline for your back pattern, just go ahead and connect the neck width straight to the underbust line. So this way, you don't get to draft out another back pattern. Rather, you make use of your front pattern for cutting out both the front and the back. The only issue with this type of back neckline is that you might have your bra base showing, but if you don't intend to put on bra, then you have no issue and you're good to go. So I have gone ahead to label the A and the B parts. Now for the second neckline, on the underbust line from the center back, I'll go up by 3 or 4 inches. So it all depends. 3 should be the least inches you want to go up with. Now the advantage with this particular type of neckline is that you don't get to have issues with your bra base showing. That is, if you intend on putting on bra with this particular type of dress. So for me, I went up by 4 inches, but if you feel 4 inches is too high, you can go up by 3 inches, and that is okay. It will also give coverage to your bra base. So I'll go ahead and connect this 4 inches to the underbust line on the side like this. So you can use any curve you wish to connect with, but for me, I'm just trying to find a nice curve. I'm just trying to get a nice curve using my curve rod. So at the end of the day, I decided to use this particular type of curve. So you make sure you blend it into the underbust line. So I'll connect 4 inches into the underbust line like this. And this is what I have. After doing this, the next step is to go ahead and connect from the neck width straight to the 4 inches mark, and I'll bring in my rule to go ahead and do this. But firstly, I will highlight my curve, so you can decide whatever style line you want for your curve. So after highlighting my curve, the next step is to go ahead and connect from the neck width to the 4 inches mark like this. And this is what I have. So I'll go ahead and bring in my scissors and cut the B part out, and also go ahead and cut out the A part. And after cutting out the shoulder slope, I also cut out the neckline like so. Moving on, to make this type of back neckline tighter, I decided to go up by 1.5 inch. Initially I went up by half an inch, but I readjusted to 1.5 inch. So go up by 1.5 inch and connect it back to the curve like this. And then I'll go ahead and bring in my scissors and cut this out like so. And this is what I have. Moving on, for the allowance, I'll be leaving 1 inch here at the shoulder. I'll be leaving 1 inch at the sleeve here, 1 inch on the side here, and I'll be leaving half an inch here for joining to the B, and at the neckline 1 inch for turning the hem of the neckline here. Now for the B part, I'll be leaving half an inch here for joining to the A. I'll be leaving 1 inch for zip allowance, 1 inch for side seam, and half an inch for joining to the gathers. And at the hem of the B parts, as you can see on the center back here from the waistline, it is 5 inches, same thing as the front pattern. And on the side as well, I went up by 2 inches like so, and I'll connect these 2 inches back to the hem line like this to get that beautiful nice curve that I desire. If you want a basque waistline, go ahead and connect in a V shape to get your basque waistline. Now for the back fabric, I had already used the wrong pattern to cut out the back fabric, but I later readjusted with the right back pattern. So it's basically the same sewing method, just that different pattern. Yes, so you can see the little video above, I later readjusted the neckline and also cut out another pattern for the B part. using the new back pattern paper. So on the waistline, I went in by half an inch like this, and I went ahead to connect the half an inch upward in a slanted line, connected it downward in a slanted line like this as well. And I brought in my scissors to cut this out. So this is done to eliminate zip budging at the back, and this same process was done on the new B pattern. Moving on, it's time to start sewing this piece together. So I'll go ahead and take out the pattern papers from the B, and I will label it B to indicate my back pattern. I'll also take out the pattern paper from the A, and I'll also go ahead and label it B to know my back pattern. So next step is to go ahead and turn the hem of the back neckline, and this is what I did for the new back neckline as well. I will also turn the hem of the sleeve, and I'll do this for both sides of the back pattern. For the B part, I also went ahead to cut out lining for this, although this is very optional. My fabric is extremely light, the reason why I had to cut out a lining for the B part and also iron stay on the wrong side of the main fabric, just to make sure that the B part is firm around my body. So it is not necessary you must do this. Moving on, I brought in the front pattern. As you can see, I have turned the hem of the neckline and also the hem of the sleeve. Moving on, I'll go ahead and overlay the necklines like this, placing one side of the neckline on the other with the right side of the fabric facing me. So I'll go ahead and place it like this, and once this is done, I'll go ahead and stitch the hem using 0.25 inch. This is to hold the neckline in place. So I'll go ahead and do this and come back and show you. So this is what I have. You can see how beautiful this is looking, and for the opening, you can see that this is 6 inches width for the opening. So this is what I have. Next step is to go ahead and bring in the B part of the front pattern. So this is the B part. I've gone ahead to iron in ST, and I explained why I have ST and lining for this. So I'll go ahead and place the B part like this, and I'll bring in the A part for the front pattern, and I'll place it making sure that the right sides are facing each other. But before that, I'll go ahead and get the midpoint of the A pattern by folding the hem into two equal parts like this, and then I'll bring in my scissors to give the midpoint a little notch like this. That's to show me that okay, this is the midpoint, this is the center. Now I'll also do the same thing for the B part. I'll also get the midpoint by cutting a little notch at the center, and this is what I have. And in placing it, I'll make sure that the midpoint of the A is lying on the midpoint of the B.
And I'll use my pin to hold this in place while making sure that the right sides of the fabrics are facing each other. So after doing this, the next step is to gather the A part on the B like this. So I'll go ahead and gather the M line of the A on the underbust line of the B part. I hope this does not confuse you. So this is how I'll gather it, and then I'll run a stitch on it using half an inch allowance. So I'll go ahead and do this on the other side as well, and once I'm done, I'll bring this back in to show you how it is looking like. So this is what I have. You can see how I gathered the A part on the B part around the underbust line, and you can see how it's already, getting in shape, and this is what I have. So right now is to go ahead and cover the ST. So in doing that, I'm going to bring in the A part like this, and I'll bring in the lining and place it on the underbust line like this. So it's more of like the A part is in between the main fabric and the lining, and I'll go ahead and close the underbust line like this using half an inch allowance. And once I do that, this is what I will have. So I'm doing this because I ironed in ST on the wrong side of my main fabric, so I cannot get to just leave it like that. Now once that is done, I'll go ahead and stitch down the hem of the B part. Now if there's no lining and ST involving yours, you can go ahead and just weave the rough edges. So that is it. So I'll go ahead and do this and come back and show you. Now for the back pattern, I'll also go ahead and gather the A part on the B part, making sure that the right sides of the fabrics are facing each other, and this gathering will be starting from the 1 inch zip allowance mark. So I'll go ahead and mark 1 inch in for my zipper allowance, and that is where I'll start doing my gathers from. So I'll go ahead and do this round the curve, on the B part, and I'll come back and show you how it is looking. So this is what I have. I have gathered the A part on the B part, as you can see, and if you are observant, you see that I have done other sewing on the dress, but it was at this point that I had to readjust the back pattern. So at this point I have loosed out the previous back pattern and readjusted everything, and this is the new back pattern. So you can see I left 1 inch for the zipper allowance before doing my gathers, and I did the same thing on the other side of the back pattern. So right now I'll go ahead and sew in the zip. So this is what I have. This is what I have. So you could see that I was almost done with my sewing, so I just have to take out that other back pattern and make use of the new back pattern which I drafted earlier on. So this is the previous back pattern. So for this zip, sewing in of the zip, all I have to do is to go ahead and open up my zip and place the right side of my zip on the right side of my fabric here on the 1 inch zipper allowance, and I'll go ahead and sew on the zip few inches, about 0.25 inch away from the teeth of the zip, and I'll repeat the same thing on the other side of the center back as well. So this is it. I am done sewing the zip to the center back, and this is what I have. So right now it's time for me to go ahead and sew in the lining. So you can see I've already done that on one side of the back pattern, so I just left the other side to show you how I did this. Now to sew in the lining, all I have to do is to go ahead and bring in the lining, and I'll place it on the A part, meaning the A part is in between the lining and the main fabric, the same thing I did for the front pattern. And I'll go ahead and close up the underbust line, and always make sure that the center backs align with each other. So I'll go ahead and close it up using 1/2 inch allowance, and once I'm done closing up the underbust line, I'll also go ahead and close up the center back by running a stitch on the previous stitch line that I did while attaching the zip to the center back. So I'll go ahead and do this, and I'll come back and show you how it is looking. And this is it. I've closed up the underbust and the center back. Next, before I turn this over to the right side, I will have to trim off the excess from this point here, so that when I turn it to the right side, it does not end up having this bulky look and feel on this particular section of the dress, or this part of the B part. So this is me trimming off the excess to avoid any form of bulkiness once I flip this over to the right side. So after doing this, I'll go ahead and turn this over to the right side, and as you can see, my lining is all set and ready. So I'll go ahead and iron this out, and this is what I have. So at this point, the next step is to go ahead and close up the sides and the shoulder. So you can see I've already done that of the shoulder, but I'll show you how I did that. In closing up the side, I'll make sure that the right side of the front is facing the right side of the back pattern, and I'll go ahead and close up the sides using 1 inch sewing allowance. And after closing up the side, I'll also go ahead and close up the shoulder. So I'm just going to show you using the previous back pattern. So like I earlier stated, after closing up the side, the next step is to bring the shoulders together like this, and I'll go ahead and close it up using 1 inch sewing allowance. So I'll do the same thing on the other shoulder as well, close it up using 1 inch sewing allowance. So I'll go ahead and do this. And next is to cut out 4 strips of fabrics that are quite long. Yes, so for mine, they are 30 inches long, as you can see, 30 inches long. And for the width, they are 1 inch wide. So I'll go ahead and fold each of them like this into 2, and I'll close up the sides using 0.25 inch. And I'll also close up one end of each strip of fabric. So after closing up the shoulders, the next step is to go ahead and create the channels through which those ropes or strip of fabrics are going to pass through. So in creating the channels, I'll go ahead and spread open the 1 inch seam wide apart like this, and on one side I will fold in 1/2 inch like this and run a straight stitch on the edge, And I'll repeat the same thing on the other side as well, folding half an inch and run a straight stitch on the edge till I get to the end of it. So that is how I got these channels here on this other shoulder. So after getting the channels, the next step is to go ahead and bring in the tiny ropes that I have flipped to the right side, and I have gone ahead to iron them out. As you can see, I have 4 of this. So the next step is to go ahead and bring these ropes and pass them through the channel. So each channel I'm going to put in each ropes, you get. So since on one shoulder I have 2 channels, so meaning I'll be putting 2 ropes on that shoulder. So this is how I'm going to pass them through. So I'll go ahead and do this off the camera. So this is it. I've pass the rope through the channels, and the next step is to go ahead and carefully drag the rope so that it does not show around the shoulder once I stitch it down on the shoulder. So I'll use my pin to hold it in place, and I'll also repeat the same thing on this other rope as well. I'll drag it in. Now take note that you can actually sew 2 ropes, 2 very long ropes, and all you have to do is once you pass it through one end, you bend it over through the shoulder and take it through the other, and that way you don't get to double stitch it on the shoulder. But for this particular method, I'll be double stitching it on the shoulder here to secure the ropes to the shoulder. That way it doesn't get to come out when I'm dragging the ropes to create that raunchy look on the shoulder. And so buddies, this is it. It is almost ready. It is now time to attach the C part, which is the gathers. Now the secret to avoid your cleavage showing out once you put on this dress is to avoid gathering the overlaps, meaning for the overlaps you just sew them straight without doing any form of gathers around there. Then the gathers start from after the overlaps, and this way you get to have total control over the cleavage area. So now that this is done, the next step is to go ahead and sew in the C part. So I'll go ahead and open up the zip, and I'll measure from one end of the center back to the other end of the center back round the hem like this. And here I have okay, let's just say 38 inches. I have 38 inches. So whatever I get, I'll multiply it by 3 inches to be able to cut out the fabric that I'll be using for the flare or for the gathers. So 38 times 3 inches gives me 114 inches. So meaning my fabric should be 114 inches long. Moving on, to get how wide the fabric flare or gathers will be, I'll measure from this shoulder joining here to the hem line. And here I have 22.5 inches. And remember, half an inch is for sewing allowance. So let's just say 22 inches. And for this dress, I want it to be 37 inches long. So I will subtract this 22 from the 37. So 37 minus 22 inches gives me 15 inches, meaning this fabric will be 15 inches wide. So you can even see I did join in here to extend the length of this fabric. And for the wideness, I added 1.5 inches, half an inch for joining to the B part, and 1 inch for turning the hem of this fabric. So that made it 16.5 inches, meaning 15 plus 1.5 gives me 16.5 inches. So in turning the hem, I'll just go ahead and fold half an inch twice and run a straight stitch on the edge. Or you can get to use a bias to turn the hem by placing the bias on the right side and running a stitch on that line on the bias, after which you flip it to the wrong side and run a stitch on the edge. So anyone you want to make use of is okay. Now for the length, as you can see, this is 60. This is another 60, that's 120. So I even added extra. After turning the hem of this long piece of fabric, I'll go ahead and bring in the upper part of this dress, because it is time to sew in the C part, which is that long piece of fabric. So I'll bring in a long piece of fabric, and in placing it, I'll make sure I place the right side of the fabric facing the right side of the B part, which is the upper part of this fabric, and I'll fold in 1 inch like this. Please watch. I'll fold in 1 inch like this, then I'll start doing the gathers at the hemline here, and I'll run a stitch on it using half an inch. So I'll do this round the hem, and this is what I have. So as you can see, this is the 1 inch that I folded in. You can see how it aligns with the center back on the zipper area, you get. So right now it's time to close up this remaining opening here on the flare, and I'll just go ahead and close it from the hand to this point using 1-inch sewing allowance. You can also decide to cut the zip shorter or just leave it like that. So this is the result. You can see how beautiful the dress is looking. And if you enjoyed this video and you find it helpful and you're yet to hit that subscribe button or even give this video a thumbs up, I am watching you. Please do well to hit on the subscribe button and also click on the notification bell, and don't forget to share this video and give this video a thumbs up. Back to this beautiful dress, you can see how the back, the B part, is covering the bra base, and also you can see that you can use this runchy shoulder to create different style. You can style it any way you want to, and it gives a very beautiful, stylish, elegant and classy look. So tell me, which of the styling do you like, and let me know on the comment section. As for me, I love all of the styling. So see you on my next video. Bye.